364 days ago, Season 4 released. Critical Corruption was not so critically acclaimed, with many players sharing mixed feelings within the community. Some saying it was underwhelming content-wise, and others saying it was underbaked. My biggest gripe was with the season event, Mr. Harold. He felt really time-consuming and not super fun to learn how to fight. There wasn't a moment throughout Season 4, and it was a long season, where I felt like I was better at fighting him, and that was just not a great experience. I threw my hat in the ring in September of 2023 with Seasons Need to Evolve, a video about season events and progression and my concerns moving forward. In February, I caught a glimpse of the early feature list for Season 5 and got pretty excited. This was all thanks to Ghost Ship, who sent large, masculine men in professionally tailored black suits to my house. They forcefully removed me from my home and shipped me directly to Copenhagen in a box labeled Idiot. I have a video about that, so check it out. Also, they totally flew me back to America, and I'm not in the Ghost Ship Games basement. Since Experimental dropped, I've played a few dozen hours of Season 5 drilling deeper, and I can say with confidence, this is Deep Rock Galactic's worst No, I'm kidding, it's probably the best. We got 3 sections for this review: caves, combat, and cosmetics. I will proceed to blur the lines between these categories in a matter of seconds, but I like the alliteration and I don't care. Let's drop into caves first. The biggest addition to spelunking and Hoxies is Deep Scan, a brand spanking new mission type. Here you're dropped right in the middle of a dense and complex cave, comprised of close caverns and diverging paths between them. There's no dirt blocking your way, so the experience of exploring is open-ended, maze-like, and disorienting. For those who love exploring, you're in for a treat. I'm especially fond of the starting rooms being these vast open caverns a lot of the time. This section has your team searching for resonance crystals. Use your peepers on this fancy new telemetric rangefinder, which indicates your distance from a crystal, as well if you are above, below, or level with it. Imagine a metal detector style trash hunting on a beach kind of thing, but instead you're looking for big old shiny crystals buried everywhere. It plays quite different from other mission types. I found myself trying to use the terrain scanner habitually to only realize it won't help much for these, other than navigating to other parts of the cave. I also keep looking for dirt and getting really confused when I don't find it for some reason, but hey, that's cool with me. Nothing better than getting a little lost in this game still. These crystals you're hunting for can spawn pretty close to each other or pretty far apart. It really varies quite a bit each time you hop in a mission. Once you made it to one, there's a subtle little twinkly sound you'll hear, and if you dig it out, you can hook up a resonance scanner. These do not need to be defended like an uplink or anything. You just hook up a cable and that's it. They do occasionally spawn passive swarms similar to mini mules on salvage operations, so keep that in mind. Random swarms also occur during this section of the mission, but once you hook up all the scanners, it'll stop. Another thing that happens is the Drill-Evator. You won't believe what this does. This is a defense combat section where you maintain the Drill-Evator while bugs chase you on the way down to a geode below. I don't feel like it overstays its welcome, which is nice. It's maybe a tad longer than a swarm, so that's cool. There's some rules in place to make sure certain enemies don't spawn to avoid combat situations that would really suck in this giant tube, so that's cool. It feels really cramped and out of control once you press all these buttons, which, by the way, pressing those buttons is awesome. But yeah, these rails rise up and it just kind of locks you in and you cruise along for the ride. You kind of get butterflies in your stomach just thinking about doing something like this in real life. It's kind of freaky. Obviously, there are certain weapons that are super fun for this combat situation. And you get a great view of everyone's impact on the fight above you, it just feels really well designed. The best part of the mission is near the end, where you breach the geode and the walls change to a shiny purple and you fall directly into it. Oh, it just feels so cool. I'm so happy to be just a little guy standing in a geode. After you collect all the Morkite seeds in this geode, you strap on some modified jet boots and fling yourself up a tunnel again to, extract from the mission. You can also ride Molly really easily here if you're trying to get the achievement to stand on Molly for too long. Here you go. It's very easy here. It's also funny looking. You just kind of go up there. Overall, I'm a big fan of Deep Scan. It feels like it'll get less repetitive than the more recent boss fight related missions. As much as mechanically I'm enjoying it, I'm super happy with how all this turned out. I really like the art direction. The crystals, once you hook up the resonance scanners, get this little bright glow coming out of the pit that they're in, and the blue and purple flecks in it. I just love the style of the whole crystals and stuff. It's so cool. The geode has these little webs of crystals in it too, and those are so pretty. The walls look nice. Morkite seeds have really interesting lore potential. Possibly being able to grow morkite is something DRG would love to do, and could put dwarves out of jobs on Hoxies, which is an interesting situation to think about from all sorts of angles. Shout out to the amazing designers and artists at Ghost Ship. Deep Scan is so great on this run. Also, I know a lot of people were sad you can't pet the Drovator, but you can spam E on the buttons to sort of emulate the experience a little bit. I hope this can heal the wound just a teeny bit. What won't heal your wound is an ominous obelisk that glows purple. Meet this season's event, the Core Stone. Have you ever fought a sentient rock in Deep Rock Galactic? Because I got good news for you. When they said that this season was going to be a prelude to Rogue Core, this is the part they meant. If you crack it open, it's like a little surprise egg. Instead of getting really sad plastic toys, though, you get nightmare rifts that spawn freaky dudes. Alright, listen, I know I was just gushing about the visuals at Deep Scan, but come on. Look at how cool those rifts look when they tear open and the sounds it makes. Oh, I'm obsessed with how this stuff looks. The enemies you'll be fighting are crawlers, and they're part of a new core spawn species. Design-wise, they're wicked freaky to interact with in-game. I was worried they'd feel out of place in a bad way, but they feel out of place in a good way. They're super uncanny and feel smarter than anything else on Hoxies. Their AI is part of why this works. It has them go in for attacks, and once they swing at you, they retreat. This is mixed in with the ability to leap quite far at any given moment. It'll really do it whenever it wants to, making them super fast, unpredictable, and appear more intelligent than a glyphid. Also, their blood is like dangerous and it looks weird, so don't touch that stuff. Waves of these crawlers will be sent at the player while they're tasked with taking out the core stone. This is broken up into 3 sections by the stone rematerializing after being damaged enough. Once you take it down, a pod is sent in to extract it, and it looks very techy and makes cool sounds, and that's the event. Unlike the Corruptor, in only a couple attempts, I felt better at dealing with the core stone event, and I had more ideas with how to improve it further. Driller can drill through the stone, Gunner can toss a shield on the team and protect them so that they can focus on taking it out instead of focusing on the crawlers. C4 can be useful, proximity mines near the rifts. I mean, there's probably a ton of stuff you could do. I'm just happy to have an event where the goal is to get it done as fast as possible. And the only thing really slowing you down is the rock rematerializing between phases and a bunch of dudes trying to hit you. It's just way more in the player's hands to do this effectively. Oh, also there's a new song specifically for this event, and it sounds really sick. Here's a brief section of it. On the topic of creepy, we have one of the new secondary objectives, barnacles. These are gross, and they hide in the ceiling with a dim yellow glow. Some of the weapons aren't super good at shooting these. I was trying to hit them with the wave cooker and it was kind of iffy, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward and I like it. That isn't the only new secondary objective. Glyphid eggs are also filling up the caves. These are a bit more of a pain in the ankles as they spawn swarmers, and you have to get rid of 40 of them, which is a lot. I do kind of wish you could crush the ones on the ground by stepping on them. I think it would be more fun than shooting or using your pick, but those are just small nitpicks, who cares? Next up, we have 2 new mutators and anomalies in the caves. 3 of these are pretty simple stuff. Duck and Cover spawns more ranged enemies, Ebonite Outbreak spawns the rocky bugs you've come to love from the machine event, and Molly supplies you with power attack charges, and Secret Secondary provides a random secret secondary to complete. Pretty simple stuff. The weird one is blood sugar. In these caves, you'll be taking damage all the time. The good news is the bugs drop red sugar. It's pretty inoffensive in my opinion. They do send a lot of bugs at you all the time, which can get kind of irritating on certain mission types, but I don't know, I had a good time with it. Not only are there new normal secondary objectives, there's new deep dive secondary objectives. You can get deep scan as a primary, obviously, and also a secondary that has you just finding a couple crystals. There's also a single more kite well to hook up in a mini refinery that looks adorable. It's pretty easy to do, and there aren't any bugs attacking you. It's really quick, honestly, but I'm just happy to be doing something new as a secondary in a deep dive. There's new cave variety. 20 or so new caves have been added to the ever-growing list, and I'm happy to have it. That's pretty much all of the cave-related things that I could think of. I did also cover some combat-related things here. Listen, like I said, categories, they're just here for vibes. I don't know what I'm doing. Combat, look at this. We're doing this shoot stuff. 12 new overclocks, baby. One for each primary and a rework for a stubby one. So technically 13, but whatever. Let's go through it. Quick fire round. Let's go. Burst fire for the Deep Core GK2 is self-evident. It makes the gun do the burst fire thing, and it gives it a bit more damage and magazine capacity to make up for firing slower. It's pretty fun, especially against hordes of grunts. I like it. Marked for Death is for the M1000 Classic, and it makes focus shots deal almost no damage, but instead temporarily debuffs enemies on hit. It also highlights the enemy for other players to see and prioritize. Basically, use focus shots on priority targets or larger targets, and then hip fire for the smaller ones. Blow through rounds does work for this as well, and I love that. It's super fun. Happy to have something new to do with the M1000. I have not changed my build on this thing for years. Speaking of support scout builds, conductive thermals for the Drak 25 plasma carbine increases all incoming heat, cold, and shock damage temporarily on hit, as well as making enemies reach freeze and burn faster when debuffed, which means one cryo breeder freezes are back with this build, which is awesome. I was really enjoying this with the crossbow in particular. Having the cryo bolts and the electric bolts with this is super fun. You freeze stuff pretty quick. But also having this in a team comp with like a driller who has cryo or fire or whatever, I'm sure there's tons of stuff that'll be fun. Elimination will probably be crazy, I don't know. Really fun idea on this one. I'm excited to see what people come up with. Pump action for the Warthog is what it sounds like. Increased damage in pellets with less rate of fire. I like this one a lot. There's new animations and the sounds really amp it up to make it feel special. It's cool in my book. Hyperalloy assembly for the stubby voltaic SMG increases damage and reduces spread with a trade-off of lots of recoil and decreased mag size. I am so glad the stubby has a damage-related build now. I've been waiting for something like this, so cool. The rework is conductor bullets, which used to be turret arc. This now also applies electric traps to platforms that you shoot. This feels much more viable than the turrets in my experience. Shooting the platforms and just covering them in the electric effect is way faster and more effective, and it's really fun on defense phases. I was using it on escort duty, and that was kind of fun. But yeah, super cool stuff. Smart Trigger OS TM for the Lock 1 Smart Rifle makes the weapon fire automatically, and that's cool. I still really like Executioner, and it feels a little weird to not have the targeting mechanic in my opinion, but I like it. Rotary Overdrive for the Leadstorm minigun adds a consumable coolant that reduces heat and lets you continue firing, and you also get an increased fire rate. Coolant charges can also be used to take you out of overheat. This combined with aggressive venting is really funny. You just set stuff on fire a ton. And also Hot Bullets lets you stay in that red zone to light enemies on fire for longer. It's a really fun new way to play. I wasn't expecting the Leadstorm to get something this interesting to play with, but it's super cool. I'm glad to have aggressive venting be a little more fun to use. Mortar rounds for the Thunderhead autocannon is basically an automatic firing PGL. It's probably my favorite overclock here. I can't get over this thing. It hurts teammates a little bit, and by a little bit I mean a lot, and it kind of blocks the screen with explosions when you're firing, but who cares, man? I mean, it's just such an amazing overclock. Cluster munitions for the Hurricane rocket system is also amazing. Gunner really got the jackpot here. Holding R will turn all of your airborne rockets into little clusters of bombs with cute wiggly trails that I love. This is super close to mortar rounds for me. I really like this one too. Also, thank you Ghost Ship for the little area indicator, the little orange circle. That's really cute. That's a cool addition. Scorching Tide for the Crisper flamethrower adds a hold R alternate fire that shoots a wave out, and it does impact damage and coats the terrain in fire if you aim it right. It's a bit finicky in my testing to get the flames to stick to the terrain, but it's a really fun way to change up the flamethrower. Hitting enemies is really satisfying with it. Crystal nucleation for the cryo cannon is basically sticky fuel but cold. It's extremely powerful at slowing enemies and definitely will be in my rotation for Driller. I'm a big fan of this one too. Lastly, we have Volatile Compound for the Corrosive Sludge Pump, which makes goo explode on contact with fire. This is my favorite of the 3 Driller overclocks. I love this. My only gripe is that the experimental plasma charger is like the only way you can interact with it as just the Driller. You'd need someone else to help you out if you didn't have this weapon equipped. I wish the other secondaries had a way to interact with this, but regardless, I love exploding goo, awesome, yay. And that's all of them. I'm sorry if I went through them super fast. There is so much to cover in this update. But yeah, I'm super happy with all of these as a whole. I think Gunner got the highlight of it all, but all the other classes have cool stuff too. I'm happy that a lot of these provide new ways to play. Like they fit builds that I feel like aren't typically what you pick for the equipment. I like that a lot of these have more refined parts. There's like new sounds and animations and crosshairs and stuff. We didn't typically get that super often for other overclocks, but in this case, it's really cool to see the unstables kind of push the boundaries of what an overclock can do. Next in the combat section, we have new enemies. The Glyphid Stalker is probably going to be the fan favorite of the new ones here. This little fella turns nearly invisible and skitters around dwarves, trying to get close up to them and stabbing them. If successful, an attacked dwarf has its shield disabled for 20 seconds, which can be pretty brutal. It also will burrow when it's found and reacts to being pinged, and I love that detail so much. I really like this disruptive enemy design. It feels pretty new to the game. It gets the team all riled up in a new way when you hear its little chirps in the distance. Onto stationary enemies, we have the Barrage Infector, who's a nasty big old guy that spits out timed explosive blobs at dwarves. They're pretty nasty looking, like really gross. They kind of look like if a Spitball Infector was sick. They also sound like that too. This guy needs some Dayquil. If anyone's got any, hit the Barrage Infector up. He needs some. But yeah, these shoot out timed explosive blobs at the player in like a spread, and you just kind of have to dodge them. Lastly is the Vartok Scale Bramble. You're telling me a Vartok scaled this bramble? These little plant turrets grow on ceilings and walls apparently, but I've never seen it do that yet, and I've fought dozens of them. They're armored, so you can't shoot them directly until you get rid of all the vines with glowy green spots. Once all of those are removed, you can take them out. I really like the detail that these guys will sense when you're near the tendrils. Like they'll get angry when you're just near part of it. It's super creepy. It's like they're using these feelers to sense around the cave. They have pretty strong area denial, though the core of it doesn't have much health. I feel like it could have a bit more, to be honest. Hazard 5+. Hold on, this gets special title text. All right, let me change it quick. Nah, I don't like that one. Come on, man, Chiller? Okay, that one's fine. I'll tolerate it. I'm still surprised this got added to the game. It's been a long time of Ghost Ship saying they're pretty set on the difficulty options the game has to offer, and they said they had no plans to add more. They lied. They lied to us. How dare they? I am fond of the ability to pick and choose which parts of difficulty you want to increase. For example, I love the idea of just having more enemies, but it still being Hazard 5, and I can do that, and that's super neat. Haz 5+ max is super tough. You're definitely gonna get tested as a player. But yeah, it's cool. I'm glad it's here for all the people who wanted it. In the server list, you can see if anyone has Hazard 5+ selected, and it'll tell you which things they chose. This feature is definitely not gonna be like the average player's favorite experience. I feel like it's definitely for people who have played the game as much as I have. But either way, it's really great to have an implementation of higher difficulty options in the game officially instead of having to use mods. Not only is there a new sentient rock to fight, an old sentient rock has new stuff going on. The Amran Heartstone's second and fourth phases are now randomized, containing 3 different attacks. The rocks and beamers are still around, but there's a new phase, a Crystal Claw, that encases dwarves, making them dig themselves out or get help from their team. Make sure you don't stand on Doretta when the attack happens. It'll do a pretty hefty amount of damage to her. I like this. It adds frantic situations where you have to call out that you're gonna get clawed so that everyone can know to help you get out. And it also does this super cool glow effect that I think is really neat. Regardless, it's nice to see the Heartstone get the randomized boss treatment. Escort Duty has gone from one of my least favorite missions to repeat when it released to one I enjoy playing quite a bit and would happily do on repeat.
I escaped. Suck it.
Oh no, it's on me.
Sinister ass is about to get warped.
Help!
Where is this? Gets this. Which one is it in?
Well, that's
I'll
awesome.
see for the next one. Oh, I know I meant it. No, wait, no.
All right, that's the combat section. Say bye-bye, combat. Say hello to cosmetics. This is what we're all here for, right? I mean, none of the other stuff, who cares? Who cares about that? So this is the best season, like by far, for cosmetics. Straight up. Not only did we get more than usual, there are so many great ones on offer. The Performance Pass has a new mix of cosmetic categories thrown in there, mainly 3 new eyebrows. Finally, there's a unibrow. It's beautiful. There's these big old bushy ones that hang down into your eyes, and I just love those. I like combining a cowboy hat with those. Just looks good. Speaking of hats, they're pretty great here too. We got these chameleon eyes that move around all funny. There's a cap with a ponytail, which I'm super happy is in the game. There's a mustache and a beard that are burning gently on the ends like the wick of a candle. But my favorite mustache has to be the bullet casing one, and those blue glasses are good too with it. Check that out. We got all sorts of new helmets, one of which will most definitely be used to create Thanos. Like 1 in 8 people who play this game are probably going to do this, including me. The Neotechia framework in the cosmetic tree is slick as hell. It's nice to see a high-tech framework again, and I love the paint job on this. The default is super nice. Oh, and we got the hair color this time around. It's this sandy color, and I like it. I think I would have preferred something a little more exciting, but it looks nice regardless. This guy's definitely been in the sandblasted corridors type look. There's 3 new weapon maintenance paint jobs. We got Liberty, Heavy Metal, and Dragon Scale. Those are pretty good. But the best feature to come out of the season terminal by far, besides the unibrow, is reactivating previous seasons. This means you can go back to any season, whether you played it or not, and try it out or continue where you left off if you didn't finish it. It remembers all your progress if you've played previously, and all of the unlockable items that were moved into cargo crates and lost packs and all that stuff are back in these passes. So there's no more digging through infinite loot pools to get random cosmetics for thousands of hours. You can just play the season and unlock the stuff how people did during that season. It's way better. You can play with anyone no matter the season they have selected. You don't have to have the same one. You can still gain season XP even if you don't have the same one selected as someone else. If you both have seasons, you both gain XP. You can see which season someone has selected in the server list, which is pretty cool. If you have any more questions about this system, I'm going to have a link to a Steam blog post below, so check that out. DRG was starting to get some pretty big problems with having too many items relying on cargo crates and lost packs, and just relying on random chance events that randomly give you an item just isn't very satisfying or fun. You don't really feel rewarded for unlocking it. It's kind of just up to the game. This reactivation stuff lets people truly experience seasons they missed out on for the first time, and that's a really great way to implement it. Also, I really like that if you're tired of specific events, you can just hop back to an older season, freshen things up a bit, and come back to the newer one later. We also have cosmetic filtering, and I love it as someone with debatably too many beards in this game. There are so many different ways to sort things by, and a couple randomization features, which is cool. To make up for the season cosmetics being moved out of the cargo crates, lost packs, and the forge, they added a few things to unlock here too. There's new skin tones. You got 8 in total, 5 of which are added to your inventory by default, and 3 of them are purchased at the accessory shop. These rule. It's been ages since new skin tones were added, and I love the red one. Rager. Oh man, look at this guy. He just looks sunburnt to a crisp. The Order of the Deep DLC is an amazing armor DLC with some pretty wicked capes, and that's cool. Helldivers joke. It's here, put it there. That wasn't that good. Okay, that's season 5. I think that's everything I want to talk about. Let's do a summary. I've been super into this game for a long time now, and I've loved so much of what they've added over the years, but this update feels like one of the best for variety. It's got danger, it's got darkness, and it's got dwarves. While it isn't the most flashy theme, drilling deeper, you're just kind of saying, hey, here's more Deep Rock Galactic. That's a breath of fresh air. I'm so happy to have a theme that just says, oh, you like this game? Here's more of that game. There's so much to offer outside of the season terminal this time around, which compared to season 4 is a nice change of pace. I hope moving forward into season 6, this model can be followed for an update, focusing on a variety across the board, with the season event just kind of one part of a larger feature set. The highlights for me are Deep Scan, especially all the new art for it, Mortar rounds, cluster missiles, marked for death, and volatile compound are my favorite overclocks this time around, but I don't really dislike any from this set. It's got a lot of personality with the new animations, sounds, particles, crosshairs. Feels a lot more refined, and just am glad to see these overclocks get a little more treated up. Big fan of this approach. The new enemies feel much more polished on launch than Season 4's offerings, and give interesting new ways to approach combat, which is cool. The cosmetics are the best from a season so far, no question, and I can't wait to unlock all of it and make some nasty new guys. And reactivating seasons is a great way to spice up playing seasons by letting players hop around as they please between them, while also giving those who missed out a chance to try older stuff and unlock cosmetics in a faster and more satisfying way. With all of this considered, I give Season 5 Drilling Deeper a 9 out of 10. It needed more hair colors, what can I say? If you gave me another hair color, I'll make a new video and I'll say it's a 10 out of 10, okay? One hair color. That's all I need, all right? Thanks. This is a contender for the best season in the game so far, and I'm so happy to say that. Congratulations to all the folks at Ghost Ship on the launch. I hope you enjoy your coming move to a new office and Rogue Core later this year. Before this wraps up, I'm doing a fundraiser live stream on June 15th and June 16th, which is this weekend if you're watching this when it comes out. The charity of choice is the Palestine Children's Relief Fund. There will be 2 DRG vinyl records on auction provided by the wonderful folks at Channel 3 Records, and we'll be playing DRG, doing some challenges, and doing a bunch of other DRG related stuff like rating your dwarves live, some tier lists, and maybe some other stuff, we'll see. Come hang out, it'll be a super fun time. Thank you for watching my video. Subscribe to SNIS to get absorbed in this bar in my channel banner. You really want that to happen, by the way. And Rocket Stone.